Today I'm going to give you a review of the Masterdesk from Brainworx. Now this is a plugin that is essentially replicating hardware for doing loads of different things that we do at mastering stages all into one plugin. So let me show you now what's inside. Here we are inside my Pro Tools then with the Brainworx Masterdesk. This is the UAD version. I don't think it makes too much of a difference if you're using this or the Plugin Alliance, but maybe someone can tell me that. Okay, let's run through what this little bad boy does. So we have a load of big knob action. I mean, in a hardware unit, this would look great, wouldn't it, with these big knobs? But yeah, it's only a plugin. So essentially, what this is a general kind of quick master plugin, from what I can tell. Now, I'm a professional mastering engineer, so most of these features I do a lot of the time, and I do them with individual things for each individual thing, if you like, because I like to have different sounds coming from different plugins or different bits of equipment. So, you know, I do a lot of this stuff, so let's just run through how I would use this if I only had this. I think that's probably the fairest way to do it. So we have on here, there is a compressor. Now you've got a mix compressor. This is a parallel compressor, I believe. So as you start pushing in with this volume knob, then you can start turning in more or less compression. You have a de-esser here, which pretty much does what it says on the tin. You've got a solo button, so you can just hear the de-essing that's happening. When you play a track, if I could just play something, then you can see the de-esser working. Well, you see the compressor working here, so you can see there's some metering around the knobs, and that works for the de-esser. So the de-esser you might use for de-essing vocals or just taking some of the harshness out of the top end of the mix. There's this big foundation knob, which is basically a bit of a tilt EQ, more bass that way, more top that way. Then you have this distortion pot here, knob here, which more or less distortion, so you can play with that, see what you like. And then we have an output trim, which does what it says on the tin. There are, for this compressing section here, you can have 4 different modes going from hard, and then it gets softer as it goes down, so more or less. There is a resonance filter section, which is quite fun. So you get a build-up of resonances around these areas, 160 Hertz or 315, or 6666 or 3150. So you can, around these areas, you can just listen to those and it just notches and plays around with those. I don't know exactly what it's doing to take those out, but I'm guessing it just ducks them a touch. You can do auto solo, so as you turn the buttons, you can actually hear what's going on. That's quite a useful bit of kit, but I tend to do that a lot with dynamic EQ. So if you're watching this and you want to get tips on how to do this with other stuff, keep listening. So that's a dynamic EQ I would use for doing those kind of things. Frequency ranges are pretty good there. Now this tone section here is obviously bass, middle and top, and then presence. And then we've got this MS section, which is stereo enhance, which widens or monos the stereo signal, and this mono maker, which will mono anything under the frequency you set it at. Now, this MS section here, I'm more likely to use that with an MS EQ. So stereo enhancing, I don't actually like any of these plugins that have stereo enhance. I've never been a big fan. Wasn't really a massive fan of it on the Masterdesk. If you've seen those, they're sort of super expensive analog hardware desks that were one of the first people, I think, before plugins were available that had a stereo enhancer, which is, you know, spreads the stereo. So quite exciting. That one does sound quite good, but these ones just sound a little bit phasey to me, and I'd rather do it with some EQ in the stereo signal. So that's how I use that. But, you know, as I said, I'm not slagging this off at all. This is a great little bit of kit. If you haven't got any of the skills that these will teach you, then this is great just to get a sound, get it going, and that's it really. It's not going to, you can drill into all of these sections a lot deeper with other plugins and other plugins that Brainworx do, but for, you know, the purposes of just getting a mastered sound, you have a limiter on, so you can go limiter turbo, and that drops this by 0.2 dB, which is good for as a master thing, and I think it goes up by 2 dB or something when you do that. which is okay, but it's not really enough level when you're going into that. You'd have to be pushing the volume quite a bit. And the compressor links the left and right sides of the compressor. Actually, when you do link a compressor, it normally draws the signal into the center a little bit more. So it can work from a point of view of getting the center channel really tight, but having it unlinked actually just lets the track move a little bit. And if there's a lot of panning and information like that, you're sometimes better to just let that do its thing and don't have it linked. So you need to use your ears to see if that's better. How it sounds is great. I've played stuff through it. It sounds really good. Now, the biggest bugbear for me is I would like some bypasses in sections so that I could bypass certain sections and hear what those sections are doing. So I can go, okay, yeah, that's working. I like that. Because, for example, when you go from off on the compressor to 86%, then suddenly there's a massive gain jump. So I can't really A/B that compressor to hear exactly what it's doing without turning everything else off. So I would really like to have bypasses on all these sections so I can really judge what it's doing, because otherwise it just sounds good and it sounds louder. So just by being louder doesn't necessarily mean it's sounding better. So I really want to be able to A/B the different sections. Like I'm sure you can set them up on here, but that's a bit of a faff. I would rather just be able to go, okay, comp in and out, de-ess it in and out, and just be able to hear what's going on. So that's a problem for me using it. I like these resonant filters, great ideas. All of this is really good, simple to use. If you just want to get something going on a master, then fine. I think you're going to need to drill into more detail. So I don't think it's something for me because I understand all this stuff and I'm going to use it in various different bits of equipment, hardware and software. But if you're new to mastering, then it's a great way for you to find out what these things are, what they do, and then drill into them with some other stuff. Even from Brainworx, some of their stuff's great, and check it out. So yeah, play around with it, give it a go, have some fun, and see what you can get out of it. I'd love to know if you can put that in the comments below. There you have it. That's the Masterdesk by Brainworx. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you give it a try. Check it out. See what you think. Let me know in the comments. If you like this kind of thing, then you need to sign up for the Audio Anorax newsletter. It comes out once a month and it's full of tips and tricks and discounts and giveaways of pro audio stuff that I get and give to you. So go to streaky.com, sign up to the Audio Anorax newsletter. Till next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.